Wait, is this the one where he calls him batshit crazy?
I mean, my version externally is we gave venture returns, not just venture returns. We gave venture returns as if you're like, you know, I don't know, you like Peter Thiel, Sequoia, Khosla returns to the average person who is willing to do their own work and stand up against kind of tried but not true ideas like playbooks. So we're like the anti-playbook company. And then, I mean, I'm currently in a battle with, short sellers, primarily because they could go short some carcinogenic company, but they have to short arguably the best company in this country and in the world by any metric. And by the way, judge us by our enemies. Look who hates us. Like, I mean, like go online. I mean, I guess people here have gone on X. Like, just forget any, you don't need to know anything else. Just look at like who hates Palantir and look who hates me. And then judge us by that standard. What should our market cap be based on that standard?
That's not what it's about.
So,
I hate this shit where we will turn like what your company is worth into a fucking mission statement political issue, or like what your beliefs are. It's about how much money you make. It's math. It's like vibes-based valuation. Dude, it's about profit. Money in, money out. It's just an insane valuation. People are shorting it because it is a risk to short it. Of course, we're in a crazy market. But they're shorting it because it doesn't make sense. You are worth 500 times what you actually make on a day-to-day basis. But that's not what I'm looking for. He has one where he's talking about Michael Burry specifically. I think I have it right here.
Palantir reporting third quarter results above expectations in a big way. The company issued better than expected fourth quarter guidance. Shares down in the pre-market this morning. We'll talk about that as well. But joining us right now is somebody we've been talking about, frankly, all morning. Alex Karp is with us, Palantir's CEO. Alex, it is so good to see you this morning. We had your biographer on the broadcast before, and we're speaking about you now in third person, but now we're doing it in first person. The earnings were a blowout, I think, across the board. We can talk about maybe why the stock market reacting the way it is. But, I was listening to the call yesterday, and I wanted to, just for those who didn't get an opportunity to hear it, I think you made some fascinating points about why you think this company and maybe even yourself are so misunderstood.
Well, there are lots of easy ways to misunderstand me. I misunderstand myself, and it's not like the super conventional playbook thing. Look, we're an anti-playbook company. If you want to do the personal version, I'm like this dyslexic, formerly, and I believe currently still left of center, who actually sticks up for progressive values, which triggers, TDS loving people, because I think the Democrats aren't no longer progressive. And then the company is built in a truly sui generis, unique way, which would only be possible in America. And
it triggers people with Trump derangement syndrome because he's too progressive. What are you talking about? I mean, the company is just AI services for the military. It's not, why is it so political? I didn't know this guy was so political. He sells AI services to the military.
Actually explodes every assumption of how an expert would build a software business. The more you actually know about building software, the more odd, unique, and inexplicable our rise in success, and I would say domination on the enterprise software battlefield looks and is. And then I would say one of my main issues is Palantir, because we called a lot of things that are kind of establishment views that often are viewed as kind of being super woke into question in every single assumption of Palantir. The people who piled in to Palantir were people investing their own money, often people who are not in the investor class, non-experts. And even till today, the experts sit on the sideline and say, hey, this can't be true, while the average American...
Okay, but this is the same argument you could have made about GameStop and AMC, bro. That's not an argument for like why your company is worth this much. That you convinced a bunch of people to throw their money in who are not real investors is like... It's like you're doing the apes together strong. You're doing like, this is exactly what Adam Aaron of AMC did, which is like, yeah, we're non-traditional. We have this movement. It's a movement of people who are angry with Wall Street and they want to do, it's like, bro, you're a fucking failing theater company. GameStop is a good company though. No, it fucking isn't. No, it fucking isn't. GameStop is a declining retail games company. What are we talking about? Every year they make less money. What are we talking about? It's crazy.
Invested in Palantir, and for the first time, maybe arguably since World War II, average Americans got venture returns investing in Palantir. So you have this massive divide between the average person who evaluated themselves and the expert class that still was working on assumptions that have historically not been true. That obviously, if you look at the earnings, if you actually look at, we grew the company. I mean, I'll go through if you want to go through the numbers, but extraordinary results. Yep. And then the expert class is weak need, and the retail people are all in. So, but in fairness,
but that's what I wanted to ask you about in terms of because there is a misunderstanding. Clearly,
I mean, the idea that Michael Burry is shorting your stock because you're anti-woke is crazy. You can make the argument that you're such a high growth company that the crazy valuation is worth it. You can make that argument. That's a fair argument. You can say, look, they don't understand that we are on such a rocket ship of growth that we're going to grow into this valuation. I think it's so extended and so extreme that I think that's tough, especially because your main client is the government. But okay, fine. But what you to say that it's just FUD and hater. I hate that whole line of thought. It's so pervasive in our country of like anyone who points out a flaw in your line of thinking or what you're doing is a fucking hater. They're just FUD. It's just all because of they have no points, and I find that so frustrating.
Most analysts, think that this stock is overpriced. You have people like Michael Burry out there shorting it. Everybody who's shorted this stock thus far has been on the losing end of it. And I'm trying to understand if you look at sort of the growth trajectory, the sales, how much of the sales, frankly, I think actually even there was a huge part coming from even existing customers, and just what the scale of this thing ultimately looks like in your mind.
Okay, there are two parts. Of course, when I hear short sellers attacking what I believe is clearly the most important software company in America, and therefore in the world in terms of our impact, simply to make money, and trying to call the AI revolution into question, where we have this anomaly.
Even this adjusted free cash flow. What was the adjusted? It's crazy these tech CEOs take shorts so personally. That's another bad sign. It's a red flag. I think that's from one of Warren Buffett's letters way back in the day. But it's like, if the CEO is angrily fighting short sellers, it's a weird red flag. It's a weird sign, because if they had a true great company that was growing, they wouldn't fucking care. If it wasn't built on hype and getting everyone to agree, they wouldn't care, because the numbers would go up and then it would eventually correct up anyway. Like, short sellers shouldn't hurt you if you are actually growing at the rate you're supposed to be growing. But if you're focusing on the stock, if your goal is to pump the stock, then you fucking have to hate short sellers and demonize them and attack them and
trying to call the AI revolution into question, where we have this anomalous numbers, 114, rule of 40, et cetera. It just is super triggering, because these people, they could pick on any company in the world. They have to pick on the one that actually helps people, that actually has made money for the average person, that is actually supporting our warfighters. Why do they have to go after us? And I'll tell you what, it's crazy motivating, because I'll tell you why the short sellers are constantly getting screwed by Palantir. Because every time they short us, we just are like tripling down on getting the better numbers, and part, honestly, to make them poorer. But okay, so the question of the actual power of the business.
I can't listen to a fucking billionaire tell me how fucking bullied he is by people thinking he might be overvalued. This is so fucking ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. And again, man, that makes you question the numbers, because again, adjusted free cash flow. What did you adjust? I hate this preponderance of adjusted EBITDA and adjusted cash flow. And it's like, just show me your actual free cash flow. Show me what you actually made at the end of the day. I hate all this accounting tricks people are using to be like, yeah, we grew our adjusted. That's why I wear the EBITDA hat. One of the big things about EBITDA is the D, depreciation. Okay, it's kind of back to what Michael Burry's saying, which is that if you report only EBITDA, you are basically hiding or ignoring all of your costs, all your big, asset costs. If you buy a factory or you buy a fucking new GPU, or if you're using EBITDA, I'm not wearing the hat now, but like that's why I wear that hat.
Simply to make money, and it's crazy motivating, because I'll tell you why the short sellers are constantly getting screwed by Palantir, because every time they short us, we just are like tripling.
He's worth
down
17 billion.
getting the better numbers, and
he's getting bullied,
honestly to make them poorer. But okay, so the question of like the actual power of the business and what is it worth. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things that is actually in the book, the biography, and that I actually think you always have to ask is the person persuasive or are they right? And across all sorts of movements, political, I mean, you see this on the regressive part of the Democratic Party. We're about to probably have a complete disaster. I was born in New York. But if you actually said, do these things actually work? Everyone's like, of course I'm not going to vote for that. But instead they ask, does it work in theory? The theoreticians, you have to ask, how often have you been right? And Palantir is about pragmatic decisions that create unfair advantages for America and its allies.
I'll be honest with you, I have not listened to this guy speak on extended length before. This makes me want to fucking short Palantir. This is crazy. He hasn't mentioned the fundamentals of the business one fucking time. What are you talking about? What are you fucking talking about? I'm not going to do it. You shouldn't, by the way, you shouldn't. In this economy, in this market, and what's going on, I think puts on high-flying companies are a fucking insane risk. And bear in mind, by the way, Michael Burry, even if fucking for, the 1 in a million happens twice and he's right again, he was hella early last time. I want you to know that. Michael Burry was hella early, even on the housing market. If this is 99 and not 2001, you could have years. Okay? So just fully understand that. And, but yeah, him just like being a $17 billion, like, oh my God. And then only think about politics. I didn't understand how much that motivated him. I thought he was going to talk about how, like, listen, we are growing our fucking customer base. We got renewed bigger contracts with the military. Every year we're up 80%. He's not saying any of that.
And on that, we've been right for almost 20 years on all major decisions, and I believe we'll be right going forward. Now, you could argue, I don't know, like they're constantly like, but they thought Palantir was overvalued at 10. They thought it was overvalued at 20. I'm not even here saying what the valuation is. I'm just saying find a company in the world that has a rule of 114, that has U.S. commercial growing at 121%, that aggregate growth in the U.S. is 77%, that has throwing off free cash flow in a way that's anomalous, and that is fully aligned with our customers. And you figure out the value, but they're in the business of being skeptical and being wrong, and we're in the business of giving an unfair advantage to American workers, American warfighters, and our investors.
Being short is a very difficult place to be because you can lose everything, right? You can drive these people into the ground.
Thank God.
Like Michael Burry.
That's so funny. He's so mad. He's so fucking mad, dude. It shouldn't matter.
Put a really big bet on it. It's almost $1 billion. It's $912 million. That's a big step for him to put into that. When you say you redouble your efforts, what do you do? What do you go back in?
Well, first of all, it's like he's actually putting a short on AI. So the way I read it was us and NVIDIA, and it's like he's
the biggest position is you, though.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through all of his
great.
shorts.
Okay. So, and then, by the way, with the shorts, it's very complex. It's not even clear that, honestly, I think what is going on here is market manipulation. We delivered the best results anyone's ever seen. It's not even clear he's not doing this to get out of his position. I mean, these people, they claim to be ethical, but, like they're actually shorting one of the great businesses of the world. And I'm not against shorting as a matter of theory, but I'm just saying pick something that is not doing a noble task. And, it's us against them, and that's a good position for us. I mean, look, when you're printing a rule of 114,
it's so personal.
People who aren't technical, I think roughly an incredible score, like an Olympic grade score on rule of 14 is like 50. I mean, that's roughly like if you're between 50 and 7, you're an Olympic athlete, a unique implement athlete. This is like Michael Phelps like score, like Michael Jordan. Like there are no scores like this. There and 121 growth off of almost a 1.5 run rate in U.S. commercial, and a 77% growth in the U.S. and an aggregate off of an aggregate base of $4.5 billion. By the way, I predicted we'd get here. So, you know, it's like, if you want to short that, be my guest. You go ahead. We're just going to go do our things. I mean, look, I'll tell you, there's a tale of two.
I want to explain really quickly. Listen, first of all, the growth rates that he's talking about are not enough even to justify the valuation. It's like, I think people don't understand the stock market enough. And I think it's just, I'm not saying it's going down. I'm just saying, like, from a math POV. Okay. There's a difference between what something is worth and what something it's valued at. Okay. It's something can be good and still be overvalued. And that is why these arguments I find to be a little bit, I don't know, specious. It's the idea that, like, if I hold a rare mint first edition Charizard in front of you and I go, is this valuable? Is this a good card? You would go, of course. Would you buy it for $1,000? Of course. Would you buy it for $200,000? Of course. But would you buy it for $100 million? Okay, the card can still be good. It can still be a great card. It could still maybe be growing over time, like the value can be going up. But you're not going to buy it for $20 million. There is a number that is above what it's worth. Okay, there's a point. And, you know, when you're worth 500 times what you're making, what your actual earnings are, then it sends a signal that you have to grow even more than you're growing now for a very long time to even catch up, to be a more reasonable valuation. And I'm not certain that he'll do that. I'm not saying it's impossible, but he needs to spend more time talking about that. Is it even possible to grow into a 500 PE with $1 billion in revenue? I don't know, man. They'd have to be one of the biggest tech companies ever. I mean, it's not impossible. And then another thing about growth is that historically, for most companies, you have a few years of high growth and then it slows down. It doesn't keep going for on and on and on. Only the truly great companies compound growth like that. For, like, Costco had steady, you know, I don't know, 8-10% growth for a long time. So, well, you know, like you know, like a graph like Labubu, right? Or Pop Mart. You know, people valued Pop Mart like they were going to go up forever, and we're already seeing Labubu sales fall off. Okay, I'll show you this right here. Very similar chart to Palantir, actually. Okay, so we're like right around here, peak Labubu. They're like, holy shit, this is a new paradigm. Labubu sales are absolutely high, insanely high growth. It's going to keep going up like this forever. And then they stopped selling. They're already selling way less. And the valuation is correcting. Okay? So it's not like this is a normal thing that happens. And so for him to say, like, we're one of the fucking incredible companies of all time, you can't short us. It's just people thinking that maybe this is going to revert to the mean. Now, look, here's a pro Palantir case. We get World War III. World War III comes along. The government is just fucking shoveling money to Palantir nonstop. They're getting massive, massive contracts, not just from America, but from all Western NATO, all of NATO. Well, that's a lot of money, man. That could probably justify the valuation. But that's your bet. So really, I don't know if it's very hopeful to bet on Palantir. You're basically betting on World War III.
Two cities in our society. We need experts versus retail. And you see it like, you know, I don't know why these newspapers are helping Mandani win. I don't know why we can't have honest discussions about our future. I don't know why we have to allow fentanyl attack. But it's almost always sympathy for the expert that doesn't need it, the short seller that has some ridiculous reason for doing something against. I mean, most of GDP growth in this country is because of AI. Dude, the real question is,
this tangent into Mamdani and fentanyl when to avoid talking about your company.
How do we grow that and expose workers? What is the worker available GDP? That's the question for our society. Instead of aligning on that, we've got these completely. And again, if the numbers weren't there, great, be my guest. But then the numbers are there. So then you're not. It's not even clear he's actually shorting us. It's probably just how do I get my position out and not look like a fool? I don't know, but I do think this behavior is egregious, and I'm going to be dancing around when it proves it's proven wrong.
All right, we get another ad for Hero Wars. What's need to watch this clip too? What's this clip?
Appreciation for the German culture.
Didn't we just watch this one? Didn't we just watch this one?
To this and deep appreciation for the German culture. I think one of the craziest things is, this whole thing online where people like laud the Nazis. Like, I spent a lot of time talking to Nazis, like real Nazis, and like understanding what made them tick and what made them. I mean, part of the crazy thing about people who laud the Nazis nowadays is there's not a single Nazi that would ever have included them in their movement and would have shipped them off to the camps quicker maybe than they shipped me off to the camps. But it's but to this and deep appreciation.
He's a character, huh? He's a character. Talks to a lot of Nazis. That's so funny. She's just like, oh. Her response.
Maybe then they shipped me off to the camps.
Her face. Oh, I didn't know this guy was so crazy. I need to read more about Alex Karp, bro. We got to see how this fucking looks.